Have we as people ever really considered putting ourselves in someone else's shoes? Most of us try our best to tie our own and keep walking because no matter what happens, no one wants to go. I'm here to tell you how some of the greatest things and people have shaped my point of view and have influenced me to become a better individual. As I present this outline to this audience, I will explain to you a person, event, and place that has impacted my life and hopefully present to you a better understanding of me and what has molded the young woman I have become and am becoming. My great great grandmother is number one on the list. She filled the biggest gaps in my life and caused the prettiest smiles, but when she passed, she left us with the hardest heartache. I adore the strength that came with such a little woman who endured so much in her lifetime. The fact that she was born in the 30s, as a black woman, and still had so much love to give to others, her faith was phenomenal. She gave this world 16 beautiful children during her journey on this earth, and not to mention her faith. She never passed up a chance to stand hand in hand with Christ. Her strength to birth 16 children and raise them all in a two-bedroom home is amazing to me. Their needs were always met, maybe not to their liking, but the thought of needing something, it rarely occurred. She was born and raised in Lexington, Tennessee, and I want to say around the age 14 or 15, she had her first child. Her second born, whom is my grandmother, was the first black woman on the police department as a dispatcher for the city of Lexington. She had only worked 2 jobs other than picking cotton as a child. She was a housekeeper and worked in a factory. Now, keep in mind she was born in the 30s, so education for the black community was limited, if any, in that era. Now, I will tell you about a place that molded my personality. Church. Church was always an interesting place for me. She and my grandmother always believed all small children should grow up in church. It was always a place for peace and humbleness, and the best lessons ever taught to me took place there, including appearance. You know, I'm sorry. And how to communicate to others respectfully. I'm sorry about that. Growing up knowing Christ became growing up knowing Christ because of them helped me better understand the world and led to the better understanding of people. It put a different set of manners into my life, a different amount of respect for others who have no intentions on returning that mutuality back to me. I believe they had a lot to do with practicing my faith, journey with God, practicing my faith and journey with God, and to see how other people's faith varies. This also has a lot to do with the families I come from, because the way they handle people are two totally different ways of handling the public in my eye. Now, I will elaborate on the heartbreak event, her passing and beautiful homecoming. She left us here to go home in July of 2016 due to stage 4 cancer. This goes back to her strength, and she always went to the doctors and her checkups as she was supposed to do. Yet, she never let any of the family know that she was sick, and her reason for that was she did not want us to worry about her. It takes a while for cancer to hit stage 4. Usually that takes a hard hit to the body, physically and mentally, but for her, it was almost as if nothing was wrong until the hospice stage. Reality sunk in once they put her on hospice, also known as the transition from life to homegoing. Grief immediately hit once I seen how she was no longer the same grandma that I had had most of my life, that I spent most of my weekends and weekdays with. Her smile never left, and the joy in her eyes never dimmed, but the sad aroma that came from her, you could tell life for sure was about to change. Her faith and smile were there, but the vibe was not fear, but instead empathy, if that makes sense. She made sure to see everyone in the immediate family before she closed her eyes for good. In conclusion, today, I have discussed with you one of the major influences in my life. And if I could write a book on her. There was so much knowledge. But she's one of the major influences in my life. In conclusion, I have also hoped to have made it clear in explaining the person, event, and place that has left an imprint on my life. When really thinking about the things that influenced my life and goals for the better, it has always been her. When it comes to thinking about how hard things are now, I think back to how things were harder back then. The lows in life that they went through and that she went through, it's nothing compared to what I would consider a bad day. It has sculpted my strength and faith into something unimaginable. Um, the love that she had to give was amazing. And it was crazy how it's like she never ran out of it. Ever.